full throttle. Hey guys, welcome back to, I guess, the Kyle Connor YouTube channel. Not really sure what to call it. Basically, I wanted to do point of view blabbering about whatever cars I'm driving. As you may or may not know, I run Out of Spec Studios, and we have an outlet called Out of Spec Reviews where we do sort of like standardized car reviews, but I never get to just sit there and blabber and take you for a drive. So if anything, this is just a way for me to share my thoughts to the 3 people that will probably watch these. But I drive so many neat cars, and yeah, figured let's just do it here on this channel. So I guess we'll start here with this car, which is the 2021 Chevrolet Trailblazer. This particular one is the maxed out active model. It sort of goes L, LS, LT, and then you get active or RS. They're kind of the same price point. Base price of $19,000 sounds pretty good. This particular one's 31 grand. So it has like every option on it, all the driver assistance stuff. It does come with some driver assistance as standard. And then it's got the neatest thing to me, one of the things I personally really like about this car, and this channel is not necessarily like let's review the whole car because we're doing that on Out of Spec. This is like what's Kyle interested in, and what I'm interested is under here. This is a found the latch pretty quick, 1.3 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. And believe it or not, this is the upgraded engine. The base engine is a 1.2 liter engine. Now, interestingly, if you get all-wheel drive, you need to get the 1.3 liter, so the big engine. And all-wheel drive comes with a torque converter auto, which I believe is the same unit out of the Chevy Blazer that I drove last week, but that was also an Out of Spec Reviews, not on this channel. So that's pretty neat. 155 horsepower, something like this, mid 150s. Goes pretty good. We'll jump in and drive it. But you can see here in terms of like cargo space, it doesn't have a powered trunk for 31 grand. That seems silly. Does it have a spare? Yes, that's good. And some extra floor mats. I mean, that's a good sized trunk. It really is. This thing looks neat. No sunroof. Another oddity here is the back of the door handle doesn't unlock or lock the car. You have to physically use the button. Should we see what a cold start sounds like? Well, it's not that cold, but let's remote start it. Remote start it. Lock, remote start. There we go. Nice. It has 2 exhaust ports, but I'm only seeing smoke come out of this one. Does this one here? Oh yeah, 2 ports. It's coming out there now. Mentioned pricing and some other things about this. $31,375. It's iridescent pearl with this sort of bronze roof. Anyway, that's not the stuff I'm interested in. You can watch the full review on Out of Spec Reviews. We're gonna drive this thing because I like this engine. So it's in auto start stop mode, or it's on remote start mode. So gonna push this little button over here and we're good to go. Heated seats into drive. 9-speed auto in this particular one, again being the maxed out trim. Engine temperature is still a little cold, so I will refrain from full throttle accelerations for now, but let's get a feeling of this thing. So the sizing feels good to me. You know, the Blazer that we had last week, I guess it's fresh in my mind, but it's another Chevrolet SUV. That felt big and bulky, and I don't know, felt like you'd be driving that around Detroit or Ohio or someplace cold and miserable and rainy, I guess kind of like here, but I don't know. This feels a little bit more happy to me. Terrible day though. Lucky we live in Colorado, we normally get sunshine, but not sunshine enough for this review. Anyway, transmission, engine combination. Let's let that get some temperature into it. We got some buttons down here. Auto start stop, lane departure, no lane centering. You know, they have the Super Cruise technology. The Multi UV gets Super Cruise. Why can't you give me Super Cruise here in all of the other Chevy products? Even like I had a Chevrolet Suburban High Country Duramax diesel, awesome truck, no Super Cruise. You got to get the Escalade. Not even the GMC gets it. That all seems silly to me. Just put all the driver assistance in all the cars, charge out the wazoo for it, but make it an option. anyway, at least this does have lane departure warning, so it knows where the lanes are, and if you touch one, it will either beep at you or it will push you back in, and you can kind of set the sensitivity for that, of course. Blind spot monitoring, forward collision warning, pedestrian warning, adaptive cruise control. All of this is pretty standard and self-explanatory. Then we have a racing flag, which is sport mode. You put that, it drops the revs massively and really helps this thing come on boost very quickly. So what we're going to do is jump into the canyon here in a second, and I'll show you how that drives. And then you have the manual all-wheel drive on or off. Now in key up setting, the lane things are pushing me all over the place. The key up setting is to run front wheel drive, and then it has an on-demand all-wheel drive system. Now I really like this concept, this idea, because for the most part, you're going to want the economy of running in front wheel drive. By the way, the 1.3 liter gets an extra like 2 or 3 mpg over the 1.2 liter in front wheel drive form. You do lose a bit going to all wheel drive, like quite a bit, even though this can run front wheel drive. So probably has something more to do with the 9-speed auto than the actual all wheel drive, so that the CVT probably helps with better fuel economy. But overall, the packaging is nice, the materials are high quality, the suspension is firm, but here in the active model, I think it's backed off from other Trailblazers, because I looked at a couple of reviews online. Everyone's like, wow, this is so firm. I'm like, it's really not that bad. And so Chevy says that the active gets an off-road tuned suspension, which I guess means it's a little bit more tuned for comfort and dirt roads. Anyway, I started another channel recently called POV Motoring. I took this off-road in some like dirt and snow. You can take a look at that video. I'll make sure it goes in the description. But yeah, this is my channel to rant to you about cars in a POV fashion. Backseat room, pretty good. I think best in class. No sunroof, no heated steering wheel here. It's 31 grand. Again, for something like this with $10,000 worth of options, that should be available. So let's punch it here now that we have a little bit of temperature in the engine. Foot down. Great torque. I don't know why everyone thinks this is slow. This thing sounds good. Now GMs all kind of do this neat shifting thing. I'll talk about it when we jump in the canyons. So actually, let's do that. Let's go to the top of one of my favorite roads and join me for the drive down as we spiritedly cruise in the Trailblazer. So I figured I'd take you for some driving impressions on some twisty roads. We have it in all-wheel drive, sport mode on, traction control off. You can turn stability control off. However, it kind of turns itself back on. Don't understand why. So let's give it the beans, full beans. All right, a little slippery through here. Up at the top of the hill, it's icy up here as usual during the winter time, but pretty good. What we're going to be doing on the downhill is seeing how the brakes work. So 3-cylinder engine is screaming, sounds really good. Here I have it in sport mode, just in regular drive, and since I've kind of been driving it hard on the way up, it knows just to hang on to the gears and hold it up top. It's not a very loud engine, but take a listen. You can hear it faintly in the background revving away. Now the power band is like up somewhere around high 4s, low 5s, so it actually doesn't rev all the way out to redline in the gear of your choosing. Or I should say in just drive. If I select a gear, here for example, it will run all the way out to fuel cutoff like we just saw there. Pretty neat for sure. Great little engine. Really like this engine. Even up here at altitude, we're at 8,000 feet up here right now. This thing's still screaming along, and it doesn't even require premium fuel. I think nothing on the CAS cap said premium fuel. I haven't looked. I did put premium in it just to be sure, but look at this, revving all the way out. Not bad. Getting a little slick up here, of course. A little bit of wet roads will slow it down here for the corners, but really a good engine back into drive. It puts on speed that you would not expect it to. It basically just runs and runs. Very, very cool. Now the brake pedal is weird. So the brake pedal, you can tell, has almost no physical connection to the brake discs, but it's very odd, especially now when they're starting to get warm. The first little bit of the pedal does kind of nothing. It is a firm pedal, which I like though. And then if you just touch it a little more, you may see my face kind of moving forward here or there. What it's doing, I think, is compensating for the hot brakes and giving me more brake pressure, but it happens sort of at a split second, and I can't quite tell where that blending point is. So it's a little bit unpredictable of a brake pedal. With that said, it also makes a weird clicky sound when you get into ABS. You get very little pedal feedback in ABS. You do get a hint. It's like kind of trying to tell you that ABS is on. But you do hear a click, and especially when you're driving around in front-wheel drive mode, but I've also noticed it in all-wheel drive mode, that the car will occasionally just click the brake pedal. And what I think it's doing is it's trying to do a mild form of torque vectoring. It's trying to grab brakes and send power to the correct wheels even before there's wheel slipping. It's a really neat thing, but when you throw it hard into a corner, you hear click, 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 click coming from the brake pedal, especially if you like pull away from a stoplight too. You can hear it click away, and that's mostly just the traction control system, especially as the key up setting is front wheel drive starting. But really a good size car for being on this sort of a aggressive all season. Wow, motorcycles up here today, that is crazy, folks. It's cold, it's freezing out, 33 degrees, and yeah, snowy, and as we've learned, icy on the roads, so pretty interesting. But yeah, we found this car is a great size of vehicle. Everyone else on the team has really enjoyed it. We came into this out of the Chevy Blazer previously, which is the bigger SUV, and I actually much prefer the Trailblazer to the Blazer. Now, the Blazer has some nice stuff, you know, more drive modes, things like this, but I think this is a right size car. Wish it had a heated steering wheel and a sunroof. Those are the two things I think that would make this relatively highly spec'd $31,500 car just a little bit nicer for sure. But I gotta say, the transmission programming is on point. You can get this car with a CVT. This particular one is the 9-speed torque converter automatic. Again, 1.3 liter 3-cylinder. That's the upgrade engine over the 1.2 liter, which is crazy. So 170 horsepower, I believe, somewhere around there. Anyway, it's more than enough to move this thing around. It's actually quite sprightly and quick. I would totally get this engine, this transmission, the all-wheel drive system if I was to buy a Trailblazer. It feels so sophisticated from a drivetrain perspective. The chassis handling is really good. I wouldn't say it's great. It's not necessarily confidence-inspiring. It doesn't encourage you to drive hard. Thank you very much to this Jeep. We'll say thanks by flashing our hazards. Appreciate that, brother. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's like fun to throw into a corner, but it's certainly capable and nimble. Once you start pushing this car really hard, it starts to understeer, of course, and kind of fall apart. There is some lag when you get onto the throttle. You can see that was about a 2.5 second delay, and part of that's just because this is more of an economy tuning engine. It's not expecting you to just nail it and go. It's not high strung, but when it does get on boost, it's more of a building. You roll into the throttle, and that's where it rewards you most. Coming out of a corner like this, we're building boost. Now we're on full boost, and I'm hitting full throttle there. That's where it's most premium, I would say. It's really nice coming out of a corner, just progressively rolling onto the throttle. So this is a smooth input kind of car. Most SUVs that are kind of top heavy don't like this jarring motion. This does not respond well to that. This is a smooth in, smooth out, and quite a fun machine. This is like if someone in your family kind of has to get a car, but you occasionally drive it and want to have some fun. This certainly ticks the box. This is a great little machine up here on the back roads. All right, well, just wanted to show you how much fun it was up here. Let's jump down into the city and talk about this thing a little bit more. Full throttle. Well, you've seen how this thing drives. We're back in the city now. It's really actually quite fun. I would say, you know, when you really lean it up into a corner and push it hard, it kind of falls apart. It's not as composed. You really get the sense that there's a lot of like rubber bushings in this thing, and you know, it's not a performance car at all. It's not meant to be. But in terms of like a just a bombing around the city and riding this great torque curve down here at 2,500 RPM, man, is it sophisticated and fun. And like, I personally, like, I've never had a great impression of GM's driving dynamics, even from their sports cars. Like, just maybe the last generation of stuff never just felt premium to me. It kind of was like sad, didn't make your day better. This is like, I've been looking forward to getting in the Trailblazer and like running errands and like going to Home Depot. It's like fun to drive around town because you have so much torque down low, which I really truly enjoy and appreciate. So overall, gotta say, very pleased with this car, with the suspension tuning. I don't know why other people say it's an issue. Here in the active trim, at least, it is not. And yeah, feels good. I like it. I really like it. And I hope you guys like this new idea for the channel. If you happen to come across this video, let me know if I should do more. We get, you know, press cars, media cars on rotation all the time for our company, for out-of-spec reviews. But I don't really ever get a chance to just rant about the car. So that's what we're doing here. I'll just take the car that we have, rant about it, put it on YouTube, and if no one watches it, at least I got some thoughts out about it. So, gotta say, impressed personally with this car. It's really, really quite nice. Really fun to drive. No navigation. That's weird. You have to use CarPlay for nav. That is a weird thing. But the brake pedal's firm and you know, responsive around town. Up in the canyons, when the brakes are hot, it does some weird stuff. But driving around normally, it's awesome. And cool. Well, I think that's kind of where we end the video. Ran out of things to say about it. It's a $31,000 hatchback with a lift kit, basically, that's capable of going off-road with a great turning radius. 11.1 meter curb to curb, I think. All right, see you guys on the next one, if there will be a next one. Bye.